Hi, hello and welcome back, welcome to another video. I'm recording this one without my headphones on and I can already hear my voice way louder than I normally hear it and it's really messing up my brain right now, but either way. I wanted to make a short little video and this is actually the second time I recorded already because I recorded it previously with the Dutch version of Microsoft Word and I didn't quite like how that turned out. So again, I want to record this short little video to show you how you can kind of spruce up, how you can make your notes in college or university and also your summaries in college or university a bit better, how you can spruce them up, how you can make them more appealing, how you can make it easier for yourself to kind of study it because the aesthetics are more pleasing. One thing I want to show you as a starting point is some notes from a class I had like 4 years ago, so back when I almost just started university. And these are just notes. I didn't even use a summary. These notes were just the kind of summary I used to then study the material, and it was not the best system. As you can see when I scrolled through this, there's a large lack of structure. I mean, there's some elements like a table with some different colorings, and there's a lot of underlined text to imply that it's kind of like a heading for the following part. But in general, there's like this missing overarching structure or this missing layout, this consistent layout. As you can see here, this table just goes into the margin where other text normally doesn't go. This image is just randomly leftly aligned. It's not even centrally aligned, which is always way better for images in my opinion. You can see that there is some color use already, but it seems kind of random. Some of the titles are blue and a bit bigger, some of the text is blue, some of the text is then red, and it's not clear whether there's a system in it or not. Now compare that to the notes I took for my psychiatry class, which I had last year. Already you can see a lot more color, a lot more diversity in color as well. You can even see that I made a table of contents. And when we look at the classes themselves, you can see my version of note-taking uses images of the PowerPoint that we had to use. So before the class, or possibly after the class, if you have one of those professors that thinks it's a great idea to only give the PowerPoint after the class is finished, I make sure that every single slide is pasted into the document. I center them in the middle of the page, and then in each class I can write the notes that are with a specific slide right below them. And I find that the most clear way to go about things. You don't have to do it like that, but that's the way how I structure my notes. I don't put a lot of effort into the notes per se. I do try to add some of these titles in between to kind of keep the structure going, but you can see that most of the notes are just text, maybe with some bold text if I feel adventurous and I want to make it a bit more clear, but in general these are quite dry, quite normal. There's not really that much color or structuring in them. Sometimes I might use a colored little frame already, but either way, it's a lot different from summaries. And summaries are what I mainly want to show you in this video. I thought I would use an English class and its material for this video because that might make it a bit easier for you guys to follow along. I do have a new email if you were wondering about that. It is a class from the course of Health Psychology 2, given by Andreas van Leupold, a professor at the KU Leuven, but that's not important. And it was a class about positive psychology. And I just want to show you real quick, if this was the first lesson of the course, how would I start creating a summary document and how do I structure the different elements in that. Now, as you noticed, I take all my notes and I make all my class summaries in Word. I think it's a very versatile program. It has a lot of different functions, and once you get to know it a bit, I think it can really deliver some great results that can help you a lot throughout your study career. One important note is that even before the classes have already started, or even before you're gonna implement your first lesson into this document, you can already make some preparatory changes to it to make it look more appealing and to structure it already. I'll show you some of the things I might do. The first step we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Design, Themes, and we're gonna select the Metropolitan design. That's the one I like the most. Select it, and then in this list of types of titles, you go all the way to the back here with the colored little rectangles around the titles. That's the one I find most appealing, and it really helps separate different sections of your text. What I then like to do is to choose a color scheme for that specific class. Both my note documents and my summary documents for the same class will have the same color scheme, of course. You could pick something at random, but you might want to pick something that kind of is associated to that class in your head. For example, for me, for health psychology, I think about hospitals, and a lot of the things in hospitals are red. You have the Red Cross in Europe, for example, which is kind of the organization that brings you to the hospital and that organizes healthcare. And therefore, I would like to make this document in a red-orange color. There we go. Now you can already see that up here in the bar of different selections of titles, the colors have already changed, but we will come back to that in a second. What we want to do first is change the heading of our document. The heading is a text that is at the top of your page. It's something that you don't really edit all that often, and it's something that is repeated on every single page of your entire document. What I might add for the example I want to present today is the name of the course, which is Health Psychology 2 for this one. I include when it is taken place. For me, this was the first semester of the last year, or of the previous year rather. Now you might be wondering what my name is doing up there, and that is just simply because I share these documents with a lot of people most of the time. Most of the time even with everyone from my year, which I know most of them greatly appreciate. And I think that having my name at the top can separate their own documents from the documents they got from me better. And it's also a nice way for me to still retain some of the credit, because I put a lot of work into these documents, of course. One other thing you always do in school documents is add a page number immediately. I like the bottom of the page one at the right bottom corner. I like that one the most. That's the one I use. Another thing we can do is already add the course title to the document again. What I like to do is select the main title font Word provides and then type the title of the course. After you've done that, I like to center it on the page. You can do this by pressing Ctrl E, or you can just use the button right here. And what I then like to do to make it stand out, to make it easily noticeable as soon as you open up the document, is select the title in its entirety, put a frame around it, put a border around it with this button right here, borders, and then give that a nice little background color that makes it stand out a bit. For example, we can still use the red one. Now when I open up this document, I might even make the text bold if I'm feeling feisty. Now when I open up this document, I can immediately see, alright, Health Psychology 2. You could possibly even make it a bit bigger if that's your preference, but that's all individual preferences. What I want to do in this video is kind of provide a framework of how I make my documents aesthetically pleasing, but it's just a framework. It's not a specific strict guideline. You can still adapt it in any shape, way, or form that you see fit to fit your own personal needs and what you need from study documents. After we have done that, what I like to do is already add the table of contents. It will still be empty for now, but then in the future, once we add the titles, which I will show later, you can easily find them and Ctrl-click in the table of contents to immediately navigate throughout your Word document straight to the title you want. One more step in between, if you feel like that's important for you, you can center your text again and maybe type the name of the course provider. If you want, you can do this in the subtitle font as well and then center it again. Looks kind of nice, not necessary at all. How we want to create a table of content is just put your pointer, your mouse pointer, somewhere beneath this title. You go to References, you go to Table of Contents, and I like the second one the most. For now, it's still empty, of course, as I said, because we haven't really added any of the titles that are to be referenced to in this table of contents, but having it already will come in handy in the future. That's kind of all the preparatory work I do in a document. One final step of preparation work I do in a document is go to these types of headings and just click heading 2 already. Word will then realize, alright, you are now having headings of level 1, headings of level 2, maybe you want even more subtitles, you want to create even more subsections. So what it does is it creates a level 3 of that heading. Level 3 looks like this, just with a simple line above it, and I think that still looks fine. But if we, for example, write test, you can see this is heading 3, and if we then go over to heading 4 and we write test here as well, I personally think that these two look a bit too much alike. And what we can do then in Word is very simply change the way this heading 4, this sublevel 4 looks. How you do that is you go into the heading section up here, you go to modify, and what I like to do is make it cursive, make it one type of font smaller, and change its color to something, for example, orange. Now, as you can see, in my opinion, these texts are already way more differentiated, and it's way more clear that this is a subtitle of level 3 and this is a subtitle of level 4. I really like that a lot more. Alright, now for the real deal. Imagine your class is finished and you go back through your notes and you want to summarize them for studying later. What I want to do for the class first is add the title of the class as a level 1 heading. What I want to do with that is add a numbering to make the structuring even more clear. And I want to start that at 1, of course. What you will see when I press space is that Word automatically creates the internal structure for that numbering, so it automatically indents it to the right and adds some space in front of it. I don't like that. I want it to be on the left. I use this button for that. Decrease indent and up. There we go. it's moved over to the left, and I think that's a lot clearer and a lot nicer for us to look at. The title for this course was Positive Psychology, Psychobiological Interactions. What you can do is copy and paste that into this small field. You can see that Word completely destroys it, like absolutely just rapes the way your document looks. What you want to do is go to this field right here, paste options, and paste only the text. You still see that we have two separate titles. Very easy, just put your mouse right here, press backspace a couple of times until it's behind it, and maybe you want to add a colon in between them just to make it a bit clearer. There we go, clean already. What we then want to do is add subtitles for the sections of the class. For this class specifically, another great example of me choosing the right class to show it because it makes it a lot easier. They start off with an overview of what we're gonna see. This is perfect, this is amazing, this is exactly what you need to implement a structure for the class that you're about to follow. You could also just copy this, you could type it. I'm just gonna copy it and then it's gonna take a while to kind of fix how it looks, but I'll come back to you once I did that. Again, we just copied and pasted that entire overview of what the class is supposed to be like. We used the paste options and we copied only the text. Now we can switch back to the slide and see that theory, health and practice are the big titles. They need to be level 2 subtitles. We select theory. We hold down the control button to select multiple things at once. We also select then health and we select practice. Those were the 3 titles that I just talked about. We put them on heading 2. There we go, already looking nice. I want to add some more numbers. This is all completely optional, but it's just the way I do it. What I like to do is go into the 1.1 territory. There we go, 1.1, you'll see, I press space. Because it is a sub-numbering of the one we used here, Word automatically doesn't indent it anymore. So that's real easy, that's nice, because I want it to be all the way on the left. You can see that there's a lot of space between the numbering and the title. I quite like that, I quite enjoy it. We then do the same for the other 2 titles, but of course with incrementing the number. There we go, that's already great. We have a bunch more titles though. We have 3 titles under the theory title, we have 1 title under each of the following titles. We can create those into heading 3 titles and kind of like repeat the process we just did. I'll show you. There we go. You can see now that these 2 don't have the line above them anymore. That is just because these titles are all right below each other. If you would add some text to this subsection, for example, test, you can see that the line is now here, so don't worry about that. Some advanced tactics you can already use to make it look a bit more appealing is use this button right here, the line and paragraph spacing button. I don't like the space in between these 2 titles because there's not going to be any text in between them either way. What I like to do is put my mouse pointer on the bottommost title. I go into the button dedicated to line and paragraph spacing and I remove the space before the paragraph. The line kind of disappears, but I like how slick this looks together. And you can also use this to really crop up the text after a title right up to that title. For example, you stand on the text and you remove space before paragraph. You can see that the text is now immediately below the title. That's a button that you can really start to play around with throughout your document to see what kind of fits for you, which vibe the document has to be for you. That's some of the basic things you can already do to really amplify how your document looks and make it look more beautiful. If you want to add even more headings, so onto level 4, what I like to do is from the point where I have 3 numbers, 4 numbers is too much, that's just too complicated. What I like to do is then within that level 3 heading, I like to work with the A's, the B's and the C's. Just use that as a way of numbering. These level 4 titles don't even appear inside your table of contents either way, so it doesn't really matter how you create them. What I do like to do even in level 4 titles, one might be an advocate to have them be indented, but I just don't like the look of it, so I put them to the left also. There we are. Once you have all the titles you want in your document, what you still need to do is of course update your table of contents. And you can do it real easily by just clicking on it, click on update table, and there you go. Now in the future, if you still want to update it even more, you just click on it again, you update the table, and you always use update entire table. One thing I like to do then to make even the table look a bit more lively, a bit more energetic, to kind of give you the impression that it's gonna be a fun thing you're gonna be looking at, is to put my mouse pointer in front of the line that includes a specific level of titles. This, for example, is a level 1 heading. What I like to do then is press the mouse once. You can see that I selected the entire heading, the entire line of text, and I then add a background color. For level 1 heading, I might want it to be something that stands out and is related to the main theme of the document, so I use red. For the level 2 then, just put your mouse in front of it again. You can now see that I selected the level 2 heading, and I like to use a different color. Something like yellow might be applicable here, for example. Then finally for the level 3, which is the lowest level or the highest level, whichever way you look at it, that is included in the table of contents, I like to use a very neutral color, like something gray, for example. And now you can see that our table of contents is already looking a lot better and a lot more appealing to the eye. And this color scheme is updated automatically once you add more subtitles. So if I would add a bunch of titles for another class on all these 3 levels, they would get the same color immediately. Then a couple more things for the text itself. This video is probably already going to be a bit long, but I really want to invest all the time and effort I can into this because I think it is a very important part of making documents that actually activate you towards studying, that actually motivate you just because the way they look. For text, just some basic tips I can give is don't be afraid to use bold to emphasize words, and you can even go a step further for very important words. If you look at this, for example, we can see that I wrote that this word is important. What I then want to do is bolden up that word by pressing the button here or pressing Ctrl+B. This word right here is even more important. It really is a crucial word towards understanding what we're talking about, or it's a crucial topic that is going to be defined later on. It's just something very, very important which we must not forget, or we must need to be able to explain to kind of complete the course in an adequate fashion. What I then like to do is also make it bold, but change it into a different color and into the color scheme that fits the document, of course. So for this, I always choose the middle color, the red accent one. It is for this specific color scheme. But yeah, there you go. You can see the difference between these two, and after a while you will get used to that. Colored, bold words, those are the real ones. Those are the ones you need to pay the most attention to. When you want to include pictures from the slideshow into your summary, that's very simple to do. What you can do is print screen and then paste the entire screen into it, but that's not really that great looking. What you can, however, use is the snipping tool that Windows provides. This is now in Dutch for me. I don't feel like changing my entire system language to English, just deal with it for a second. You just create a new snippet using this right here. Oh, if you don't know how to get to it, by the way, you just press the start button and you type in Snipping Tool. There we go. Immediately it comes up. You press the new button right here and this allows you to take a screenshot of just a small region of your screen. I put a nice little border around the part I want in my summary, and it's automatically copied to my clipboard. What I can do is go back into the summary document and just paste it, and there we go. I have the image in my summary right there. I almost always like to center my images, and then one more thing I like to do to make them stand out and to make them like be separate from standard text is go into picture format and then implement a picture border. I like to implement one in the color of the document. So again, this is going to be red. It might be red accent 1 again. This doesn't really stand out for now, right? You can see that it's just a very, very small border. I like to change its thickness to 3 points. There we go. Now that is a hefty border around the image and your attention is drawn to it in the middle of the screen. Because it is a summary, you normally only include complete images that are really of vital importance to understanding the material. You don't go around just putting every single slide into the summary. That's not really a summary then, right? That's just a repetition of the entire course material. So the things that you do want to include in image format in their totality are going to be the really, really important things, and they need to stand out. Your attention needs to be drawn to them immediately. And I think this way of looking at it does a great job. Again, what you can do is, wait, there's a lot of white space in between here. You stand on top of the text, you remove the space after the paragraph, and that's a bit less white space. That might be more adaptive to you, but those are all the small things that are not really necessary. They are just for beauty purposes. But I think things like coloring your words, coloring the border of your images can really help you in studying. And one final thing I want to discuss for you to make your summary look a bit better is when you want to add lists, or when you want to add lists of bullet points of items that are important, that they are grouped together or something like that, or there is a summation of important elements or characteristics or elements of a specific configuration, whatever it is you want to include. Like for example, I want to include this PERMA abbreviation and what it stands for. What I would then possibly do is stand somewhere in the document where you want to include it. I'll do it on a new page for clarity. So you're standing right there and you want to include bullet points. For me, it's already going to be like this because I always use colored bullet points. But if you don't have that yet, you go to define new bullet. The symbol, I just like it to be a standard little bullet. You can do whatever you want with it, of course. You go to font and you just change the color to something fitting your document color right there. Okay. There we are. Isn't that already just way more beautiful than the black arrows or black bullet points you generally use, and they don't spark any life into your document, right? But look at this. This is how I would add this list of elements into my Word document, by making the first word just bold in general. Not make it colored bold, because I don't think it's important enough for that. But a great thing about Word is when I press enter now, even though I am not typing in bold right now, it knows that I want to create the first word of that element in bold. It automatically changes the font to being bold. I then type the element, which is relations. And I add another colon, and when I press space now, you can see that the boldness was automatically removed, so now I can type the rest of my text. You see? It's very handy. Thank you, Word. Thank you, Bill Gates. Alright, there we go. This already looks great, but we can do a lot better. One of the things I like to do is select the entire list of bullet points. It could also be a list of numbers, right? And again, you can use define new number format to change the font into something colored, like that for example. But for this, I feel like a bullet point is fine. What we want to do is move it to the left as well, or at least that's what I like. Remove the indent, and then again, put a border around it. That's already a lot better, right? But one final step, which I really like and has gotten me through a lot of hard documents to get through, is giving it a nice background color. There we go. Doesn't that look amazing? It looks so appealing. It doesn't look like some raw, unrefined material that I have to cramp into my head somewhere in a space for the exam and then forget it for the rest of my life. No, it looks like something, alright, yeah, I can look at this, I can try to remember this. It really lightens up the mood while studying, and that's one of the most beautiful parts. Imagine then if right below that list of things I wanted to add another list of things. Like this one, for example. What positive emotions can mean according to the broaden and build theory. As you can see, I practice what I preach. I used bold lettering to make the positive emotions stand out, and I even colored it because this is a type of theory that is very important to understanding the class material. Some of you might have noticed that I already removed the white space in between the description of what the frame or of what a bordered piece of information is about and the bordered information itself. What you have noticed now is that this bordered piece of information, this bullet point list, is still empty. There's no background color. And this is vital. This is one of the most important pieces of advice I can give you. Give this a different background color and alternate between two colors in your document. This does not only make your document even more lively and feel dynamic and feel diversified and feel really energetic, but what it helps is it helps your brain to separate different lists of information. A lot of university classes and material to study include a whole bunch of summaries, a whole bunch of lists, a whole bunch of bullet points. For example, you have to know different brain structures related to anxiety, and then it's going to be an entire list. And then right after that, you have to learn which brain structures are included in emotions in general, and it's again another list. And having these different colors in these different borders, that can really help your brain to already make the switch from one list to another list and not confuse the elements in different lists and intertwine them wrongly. Those are the main things I like to do to sprucing up my document. Once you have made the changes, as I told you, table of contents, update entire table, and you will see the page numbers change because the titles are on a new page. If you hold Control and you click on one of the headings, you immediately jump to that point in your document. And that's pretty much all there is that I wanted to share for today. There we go. That was my collection of small but very useful tips to make the documents you use to study in university, college, high school, maybe just studying on your own later in life, to make the documents more appealing, more aesthetically pleasing. And I can assure you, well, I shouldn't say assure you, but in my personal experience at least, it really eased up the process of studying some difficult material. I hope you can use something out of this video. I hope it brings you joy. I hope it makes the learning process a bit easier, and I hope you enjoyed it at least. Thanks a lot for watching, sticking all the way with me until the end, and see you in the next one. Bye bye. One more thing, I'll try to, in some way, I don't know how yet, maybe using Google Drive or something, create kind of a template with the system that I just used and include some of the basic elements so that you can start from that document, or so that you have a reminder of the different elements that I used in this video today. It's gonna be in the description somewhere. Maybe I'll also put it in a comment and pin that comment. I've never done that before, but hey, new horizons are to be explored, right? So I'll see what I can do. If you don't find it anywhere, well, if I can't manage to do it, this clip wouldn't even be included in the video probably, so why am I still talking? Because that means that it would just be cut off right here. No, prank, I did manage to do it, so look for it in the description or the comments. Now, for real, bye bye.